People are leaving Nampa, Idaho after regretting their decision to move there. So we're going to talk about why they leave, where they are going, and how to avoid having this happen to you. My name is Brady Fagel, and I am a lifelong Boise local, and I'm also a real estate agent. I post these videos every single week, and if you find value in them and think I deserve a subscribe, definitely subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on moving to Boise. And when you decide Boise is a possibility for you, shoot me a text or a call anytime. Now, why do people regret moving to Nampa, Idaho? Nampa is the third largest suburb of Boise. It is about 10 miles west of Boise, and last year was one of the fastest growing cities in the country. So you would think that correlates to people loving their decision to move to Nampa, but that's not always the case. Nampa is generally divided into three areas. In North Nampa, you have a lot of the new development with new builds and open spaces. Then there is the central and downtown Nampa, which has its issues we'll talk about. And then lastly, there is South Nampa, or the Lake Lowell area. All three of these areas of Nampa offer different pros and cons, which also means there are different reasons that people leave for each of them. We'll start off with the easiest and most obvious section, and that is Central Nampa. This is an older area with 1900s homes and early 2000 neighborhoods. The downtown area is located here, which has become nicer over the years, but the big issue here is the crime and the safety concerns. Nampa is one of the least safe areas in the Boise area. You have small amounts of gang activity here. There is drugs and human trafficking, and a much higher percentage of sex offenders than anywhere else in the valley. So for obvious reasons, people can regret moving here, but the problem starts with people not being aware of these issues. This is especially true for people moving from out of state. If you don't have a great understanding of every area of Boise, or you have an agent or information that isn't the most helpful, people can move to a place without understanding the issues of that area. And this is probably the number one reason people end up regretting where they choose to live. They just weren't aware. We will talk about the areas people are going and what you can do to avoid this. And the other two areas of Nampa are much nicer and safer than the downtown or central part of Nampa, and have similar regrets to each other, but they offer very different living. In North Nampa, you have a lot of new construction homes, and you have homes that are less than 10 years old. And most of these are built by our lower end builders in the valley, which gives you great home affordability. CBH, Hayden Homes, Hubble, and Lennar are all great options, but it definitely gives you a first-time home buyer kind of family feel. But you're also only 5 minutes away from both the Garrity exit and the Karcher exit, which has Winco and Target and Costco and a huge shopping center, movie theater, and everything you need for running errands. And before we get into the next section of Nampa, which is the Lake Lowell section and the big regrets people have, give me a call or a text anytime. My goal is to provide you with as much information as possible. And if you decide you would like to use me to help you move to Boise, I want to help guide you so that you can make the best decision for you and your family and avoid something like regretting the suburb you choose to relocate to. The last area of Nampa is the Lake Lowell region, this is an area with the higher end homes. So unlike the north section, this has a little bit more options for kind of luxury homes or higher end homes, acreage property, and what you could consider a wealthier or older community of people. It's a great place to live if you're okay with Nampa as a whole, more affordable options, but it is the longest commute times in the Nampa area. You are looking at 30 to even 60-minute drives into Boise, which can be a problem for some people. And then let's take a look at Nampa as a whole. The first thing has to be the smell. This is something that you will hear a lot. Nampa has a sugar beet factory, and it can create a less than ideal smell, which can turn people off to living here. But the reality is that the smell is only once an evening or sometimes even only once a week. And you really need to be downwind of the factory. And the wind here usually blows north or east. So North Nampa gets the worst of it, or around the Garrity exit. But this is a rare scenario that someone moves away from Nampa just because of the smell. The bigger reason is the factories and the commercial properties in Nampa. It's a hub for warehouses, Amazon, and other factories. That can kind of be an eyesore, and it adds to kind of that rundown feel that some of Nampa has. So people would rather live in Star or Meridian or Eagle, where you have beautiful landscaping. The only commercial properties in these other suburbs are the restaurants and the shops for you to spend your weekends and evenings. The next con is a double-edged sword. When Nampa was the fastest growing city and Boise was booming in 2021, every builder in the valley began construction in Nampa because it was the next hotspot and there was more land to buy and develop. While this was happening, Meridian and the other suburbs were they were building higher end homes to supply the demand that was coming in those areas. But this created a demand for affordable homes in Nampa. And so you couldn't find new construction homes in Meridian or Boise that were your typical starter, more affordable homes. They were all more kind of luxury builds. And then if you fast forward to today and the market has kind of cooled off, builders have started to build more affordable homes in Meridian and Kuna and Boise, which has caused home prices in Nampa to fall. I call this a double-edged sword because if you like Nampa or are okay with some of the reason people regret moving there, you can buy substantially more home or land than in the more desirable suburbs like Meridian. But if home prices in Nampa don't recover or they don't recover as fast, it could cause some regret down the line because no one wants a home that is either going down in value or it's only going up half the rate your friends and coworkers' homes are in Meridian or Kuna. And thankfully, I think this is temporary, and I believe Nampa will start to head back up in the next year or 2 years, but there is a small risk there. But the biggest reason people regret moving to Nampa, and the biggest reason people who are locals would never move there, is a combination of everything I mentioned, and it all combines to just create a feel and atmosphere that is less than ideal. I mean, don't get me wrong, Nampa can be a great for some people. I've lived there for a number of years, and it has some amazing opportunities. But some people can move there from out of state, live there for a year, and then they spend more time in Meridian, Star, Kuna, Eagle, and they realize that those suburbs just have a better feel. They seem cleaner and they seem safer because they don't have the crime that Nampa has or the trash or the just rundown feel. And the other suburbs seem nicer and just mesh with what people want more because of places like the Village in Meridian, the Boise River and Eagle, the small town community of Kuna. So after a year of living in Nampa, people wish they had lived in these other suburbs. This is why it's so important to pick the correct suburb and have someone by your side who has lived here a long time or knows the area as well and can give you honest advice based on what they think and learn you and your family are like. And it's also why watching this video here is a very helpful tool because I go through every single suburb and I give you pros and cons and rank them in a tier list from A to F. And thank you guys for watching. I look forward to meeting you in person.